Hello everyone and welcome to Jerez, and we have the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Race 2 of the weekend to come. We are almost at the midpoint of our 2024 calendar, which includes, of course, the rounds that we've already completed in Mugello and Balaton. Here we are in Jerez in Spain. Then it's off to Portugal and Portimao, then La Castellet, then Nürburgring, and then Imola, which will bring to a conclusion our 2024 season of the Ferrari Challenge. And what a season it is proving to be. Here in Jerez de la Frontera, then, a 4.428 kilometer circuit close to the city of Jerez. It's maybe 90 kilometers or so south of Seville and deep within the sherry-producing region in southern Spain. This circuit opened in December 1985. 13 turns, 8 of them are right and 5 of them are left-handers, and it's a real test for our drivers to take to this circuit. That's for sure. Quite undulating as well. So there we can see the UFO that spans the start-finish straight, if you like. Track temperature 49 degrees. The air temperature is 37 degrees, and there's only 3 kilometers per hour of wind around to cool anybody or anything down. It is blisteringly hot here in Spain, and we expect the action to be of a similar nature as we look at the number 8 car of Luca Ludwig, the Mertel Motorsport driver. Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli qualified P5. It's not where he would like to be. It's actually P6 in the grid overall, but P5 within class for Luca Ludwig. There we see the number 5 car of Luca Engstler. The number 5 car there we can see of Lara Villas, I beg your pardon. The driver that has qualified in Trofeo Pirelli Am P10, and Lara Villas driving a different coloured car to her normal black 296. And right behind Lara Villas is Gianmarco Marzioletti, and then this driver, Andreas Berg Sorensen. So Andreas Berg Sorensen, the Formula Racing driver, going from P12 in class. Giacomo Altoe then for Emil Frey Racing put the car in pole position, and it's Luca Engstler who will be alongside him, then Philip Barron, and then it will be Bence Valent. The first 2 rows contain Trofeo Pirelli drivers. The Pirelli drivers, as you can see from there, have a red strip across the top of the windscreen. That's how you can identify in which particular category each driver is racing. Red strip across the top of the windscreen for Pirelli drivers, white strip for the Pirelli Am drivers, and that is the car of Bence Valent, the Ferrari Budapest Rosso Corsa racer, who is going from P4 on the grid. Bence Valent, then, a young superstar who's taken a win already this season. It came in race 2 at Mugello, and here is Philip Barron. He goes from P3 on the grid. Philip Barron, then, no stranger to Ferrari Challenge Racing. He's had 3 podiums as he's returned to racing here this season, more latterly, and still remains a team manager and team boss and driver coach and various other things, but had the opportunity to return to racing this season, and chose to take that opportunity, as you can imagine. So Philip Barron will be hoping to move up the order from his P3 qualifying. So as our drone gives you just a great shot of all the cars and drivers down there on the grid, and it's always a very busy place right at the start of the race. Giacomo Altoe, then, he is the leader and P1 driver going from pole position for Trofeo Pirelli. For Pirelli Am, it is Hendrik Viol for the Scuderia Prague Racing Team. Thumbs up down there, and we are just a few minutes away from the race getting underway. Then the cars will be led away by the Richard Mills safety car on a formation lap, and it's always a rolling start in the Ferrari Challenge. It will be the responsibility of Giacomo Altoe and Luca Engstler to control the pace of the rolling start. Incidentally, both Giacomo Altoe and Luca Engstler raced together in their very, very younger days, and they are together once again in this Ferrari Challenge race today. So we took a quick look at the Herbert Guys car. Hello, good afternoon. Hope you're going to enjoy the race as much as we are as well, and you can enjoy it from the privilege of being trackside in the sunshine, whereas of course we have a really rather lovely air-conditioned studio from which to bring you all the action, I hope. So, great race weekend here as part of the Ferrari Challenge for 2024. And what a weekend it was last weekend as well for the Prancing Horse brand, as the Le Mans 24-hour once again was contested, and it was contested with great success for Ferrari. Well done to you all. What a weekend it was, and well done to Nicolas Nielsen, to Antonio Fuoco, and to Miguel Molina. So Giacomo Altoe going from pole position here for the Trofeo Pirelli drivers. Going from pole position for the AM drivers, it is Hendrik Viol. Of course, we'll bring you the grid in full in due course when the cars are released on their formation lap. There you can see the number 23 car of David Akabadze going from P19, P14 within his particular class. So I was mentioning Philip Barron just a few moments ago. He, of course, a team boss and returning to racing driving, and he gave us his guide to this Jerez de la Frontera circuits.
Welcome to round number 3 of the Ferrari Challenge at the wonderful circuit of Jerez. We start with the first corner with a pretty hard braking down to 3rd gear. You have to turn pretty hard and be early on the gas and make sure you come out of the corner pretty well. Second corner, you have to take very tight to get the speed out to corner number 3, which goes full gas. Corner number 4 is up in 5th gear with a light release on the gas pedal, almost full, up to corner number 6, which is uphill. This one you have to do as fast as possible to keep the speed on the straight. Corner 11 is leading you to the very tricky triple chicane, which is not easy to take. You have to take full curb on both corners to get a good exit and take the bumpy right-hander back to the last corner. In the last corner, you have to brake late, make a V, turn the complete car, be early on gas and cross the finish line first.
Big thanks to Philip Barron then for giving us his onboard lap and giving us his circuit guide to this extraordinary track that is Jerez de la Frontera. So there you can see all the cars lined up. Final stages of preparation before the race gets underway. This is when the tension and anticipation begins to build for the race starts. Look at that. Spot on time. The Richard Mills safety car leads the cars away on the formation lap. Stand by. We'll bring you the grid in full for all our Trofeo Pirelli drivers and Pirelli AM drivers. I remind you, the Pirelli drivers have got the red strip across the top of the windscreen, the AM drivers with the white strip across the top of the windscreen, and it's Giacomo Altoe and Luca Engstler on the front row of the grid. Then it's Philip Barron and Ben Svelin. They go from row 2, that's P3 and P4. Best of the AM drivers, Hendrik Viol going from P5. Then it's Luca Ludwig alongside. They complete that row. It's Marco Zanassi and Hanno Laskowski, P7 and P8. P9, Angelo Fontana and Klaus Sebranson goes from P10 to the 6th row, where we find Danilo Del Fabro and James Owen. And then to row 7, and it is positions 13 and 14 for Andrew Morrow and Herbert Geiss. They go from that row 7. Laura Villars in an all-red car today, alongside Gianmarco Marzialetti, ahead of Andreas Berg Sorensen and Otto Blank. And then bringing up the rear of our 10-row strong grid, David Akabadze and Armin Arifpour. That's the way it looks for our Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM race. We're going to be hearing from Giacomo Altoe, young superstar in the Ferrari Challenge. He put the car in qualifying on P1. Let's hear from him now.
I'm in pole position again. Great feeling. The team did a great job again. We did a few things on the setup from yesterday because I was not 100% happy with the car, and today it was even better. So it was a rocket thanks to the great job of the team, and yeah, to get the pole position with a half a second of margin, it feels great, and it's a great starting position for race 2.
He's going to nickname his car Apollo because it goes like a rocket. Giacomo Altoe, very happy with his car that the team have delivered. I am delighted to welcome alongside me for a bit during the course of the race a formal, official Ferrari factory driver, FAA. Good afternoon, welcome friend. It's a delight for us to welcome you on air.
Good afternoon, Dave. Thanks for having me here.
It's a great pleasure. Listen, you're a young superstar driver. I have to say, first of all, congratulations, becoming a Ferrari factory driver. I mean, that is just the epitome of everything that every young racing driver wants to achieve, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, being named as a official Ferrari factory driver, racing in the top category of World Endurance Championship in the Ferrari Hypercar 499MP is a dream which many racing drivers have, and I had the pleasure to make it happen end of last year, and this year racing with my two great teammates. We are doing very well in the championship, and we just won Le Mans as a team, so that's brilliant.
We'll be hearing from you during the course of the race. Thank you so much for joining us. Right, here we are then. Final turn to be done before the race gets underway then. Hold on to your hats or anything else that might be loose-fitting about your person, because this is going to be red hot as we go racing with Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM. Giacomo Altoe, Luca Engstler, two young whippersnappers side by side. Brilliant start from Giacomo Altoe. Look at Luca Ludwig as he tries to dive to the inside, and he's certainly moved up a place, if not two, right at the start of this race. Luca Engstler trying to hold it around the outside of Giacomo Altoe. Look at this, absolutely side by side for the lead of the race, but Giacomo Altoe is just able to show Luca Engstler a clean pair of heels for the moment. But Luca Engstler and Philip Barron are providing something of a chase to Giacomo Altoe. He now, with his nose in front, surely he'll just be able to settle down at the threat of Luca Engstler. Will it go away? I suspect not, but Luca knew that the time for him to really pounce would be right at the start of the race, and that's precisely what he tried to do. And he certainly harried Giacomo Altoe right at the start of the race, bearing in mind the tyres are still relatively cool. They're not up into their operating temperature yet. You'd be forgiven for thinking that with track temperatures of around about 50 degrees. But Giacomo Altoe leading in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. In Pirelli AM, it's Hendrik Viol. And Philip Barron chasing down in that P3 position, the all-red car you can see there. And Giacomo Altoe just beginning to stretch his legs a little bit as we approach the final sector of the opening lap of this 30-minute plus 1 lap race. There is Luca Ludwig running in P5, being followed by Hendrik Viol, who's got Hanno Laskowski for company, and Marco Zanassi. Those are the top 3 in the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. And then the rest of the pack behind. So, first lap, we're about to put it in the book, and it is Giacomo Altoe then that converts that pole position into the race lead, unsurprisingly being chased by Luca Engstler, and then Philip Barron, who's got Ben Svalint for company. Luca Ludwig, as I mentioned, he was very lively at the start. He just takes a look at the inside of Ben Svalint then, but Luca Ludwig for the moment having to be steadfast in that P5 position. Hendrik Viol, Hanno Laskowski, and Marco Zanazzi, they are the 1, 2, 3 in the AM drivers. So the top two beginning to break away a little bit from Philip Barron. The start, we are told, is under investigation. That will be potentially for any driver that didn't drive through their grid box, which is very, very important on the start of the race. And if you don't do that, you incur the wrath of Claudio Garavini, our race director. So let's take a look at a replay of the start to see if anybody was particularly out of position at the start. So, rolling start, here it comes then, around the final turn. So every driver has to go through their grid boxes. Anyone that veers away from that may receive the attention, and I just wonder whether Luca Ludwig just dived to the right-hand side. That's the only driver I can pick out, AV, that just looked like he was out of position a little bit.
Yeah, and a great start from Giacomo Altoe, and yeah, from P2 position, Luca Engstler was very close into T1 out as well as into T2, but clean and fair. Very strong race in the pro category, and I think all drivers are settling with their tire management. To try to look after them over the course of half an hour, and yeah, great start for the top two leaders.
Of course, you're a top racing driver. You understand how to make the tyres work. And of course, here in this particular race, albeit it's only a 30-minute plus 1 lap sprint race, somebody was telling me that you start with the tyre pressures a bit lower ordinarily because of the heat that will be generated into the tyres means the pressure increases during the race. Is that true?
Absolutely. We try to start as low as possible. Of course, I think there's regulation which defines minimum pressure allowed, but then it's really up to the driver to manage their throttle pedal and power, especially after the long straight in the hairpin. Very easy to make the rear slide. So looking after them will be very important, but also the brakes, they can overheat. I talked to a few drivers on the podium after the race, and they say that a lot of management is required if you want to have a good race for half an hour.
So there you have it, straight from the horse's mouth. Top racing driver telling us that it's not all about steering the car. There are so many other things to think about during the course of a race. So the top 5 then, they're all split by a bit of a margin here. Luca Ludwig is quite close to Ben Svalint, but they are the closest in terms of the top runners. Hanno Laskowski getting closer to Hendrik Viol. But of course, Hanno Laskowski will also have for company Marco Zanazzi and Klaus Branson, who are running just behind. So here is the Luca Ludwig. Luca Ludwig currently running P5 and trying to kind of reel in Ben Svalint at the moment. And Luca Ludwig, of course, a hugely successful racing driver, so too Ben Svalint. And Luca Ludwig just taking a look at the inside of Ben Svalint on the entry to the chicane here, the final chicane. And he has got closer. No, I don't know whether Ben Svalint maybe missed a gear or just made a mistake. Because all of a sudden, Luca Ludwig was right on him. So, as they head towards the final turn now, will Luca Ludwig be close enough to be able to have a go on Ben Svalint going into turn number 1? He tries to set himself up perfectly, try and get something of a draft off the car in front. And will he dive to the inside? I don't think he's quite close enough to be able to do it, but he may set himself up for turn 2, 3. So we keep an eye on this as Luca Ludwig then is trying to unsettle Ben Svalint and unseat him from that P4 position that he holds at the moment. Luca Ludwig running P5. This is playing into the hands of Philip Barron in the all-red car, who's able to escape up the road in that P3 position. But for now, someone has run wide and kicked up some dust there. For now, you can see that well, Luca Ludwig's best opportunity has gone away for the moment. I'm sure he will come back again. And yeah, Ben Svalint steadfast in that P4 position. It's Hendrik Viol from Hanno Laskowski and Marco Zanazzi in the Trofeo Pirelli AM race. But as you can see, the Luca Engstler on the sort of middle part of the lap is able to get closer. Let's ride on board with Marco Zanazzi here, who's chasing down Hanno Laskowski. This is the battle that's going on for P7 and 8 in the race overall, but it is P2 and P3 for our Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. We run the telemetry on the right-hand side of the screen, so you can see just how quick these 296 Challenge cars are, up to very nearly 190 kilometers per hour before a dab of the brakes before going into that turn into gear 4, as you can see. Hold the curbs, you can hear the curbs, you can almost feel them rattling your teeth through these fantastic pictures. Back on the brake again, down to 3rd gear, up to 86, 87 kilometers per hour, then up to 120 before engaging 4th and keeping on that throttle. It's full jet flat now before breaking through the final turn, and whoa, running a bit wide there was Hanno Laskowski. Marco Zanazzi just trying to get a little bit closer. Brilliant onboard shot. And once again, Luca Ludwig trying to unseat Ben Svalint. So Ben Svalint doing a good job of sticking his elbows out as here comes Luca Ludwig. Oh, and there's just almost a little bit of a touch between the two of them here. So what can Luca Ludwig do? Of course, he's piling the pressure on Ben Svalint right now, but Benz is soaking it up like a sponge, and whilst he runs a bit wider there, is Luca close enough to get to the inside? Not quite. Oh, this is really, really difficult. And Efe, when you're being chased like this, you know that you've got to drive right up your trumpet, and you're having to drive a bit defensively.
I think it's really depending how you think. You know, you have to look ahead. If you just focus on the car behind you, you tend to just go backwards. Of course, the car behind is probably faster, and you are maybe managing your tires more than him. So important to keep your brake marks and not to run wide, because these cars, although they are like the GT cars, but they still have a lot of aero kits.
Yes.
So it means that if you do a corner properly, the car behind will lose, speed because it's in the dirty air. So if you do a good job, you should be staying ahead. And at this period of the race, it's important to look up the tires to be sure that for the last 10-15 minutes, they are still good to bring you to the end of the race.
Fantastic, thank you. We hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were, the racing driver perspective. So yes, of course, Luca Ludwig having to run in that dirty air when he's really, really close to Ben Svalint, which is why you may see him just take a pause before going back into attack mode. Giacomo Altoe, he's stretching his legs at the front as, wow, Luca Engstler gets a drive-through penalty. Now, Luca Engstler is currently P2. He's got a drive-through penalty for overspeeding at the start, as has our race leader, Giacomo Altoe.
Wow.
This means that Philip Barron takes the drive-through penalty. So too will Giacomo Altoe.
I believe it's top 2 taking the drive-through.
Indeed, so
yeah.
Philip Barron's going to be in the lead of the race, effectively.
There will be a race to the pit lane and out of the pit lane.
Oh, wow. Now, of course, what I should say, Efe, is you have a fantastic relationship with race control in all your races. Of course you do. But, I mean, they have so much data available to them, don't they? They will know if you've sped too fast at the start, obviously, and 2 drivers have been penalised for that. I mean, it's very rare occurrence, but quite clearly, when you get given a drive-through penalty, you've got 3 laps to take that within notice, haven't you?
Yeah, to be fair, before the race weekend started, in the driver's briefing, I remember the race director said specifically that this weekend they will be measuring the speed at the start, and there was a man measuring with a laser gun, and if you go over the allowed between 70 and 90 kph, you will be noticed and you will be reported to stewards, and that's what happened now. So now it's going to be interesting to see which lap the leaders choose to pit,
yes,
and where they're going to come out from, and then if they're able to recover to the front again, because I know the 2 leaders, they have a pace advantage, of course, on the program class. Yeah, we see Giacomo also, both of them come in, so it'll be interesting where they end up at the end of the pit lane.
Thank you. So Giacomo Altoe and Luca Engstler then taking their drive-through penalties. That elevates Philip Barron to P1, Ben Svalint to P2, and Luca Ludwig now to P3. And when you get a drive-through penalty, do you feel it's best to take it straight away and get it out of the way, or do you hold fire for a moment?
In the most case, if you have the pace advantage, you tend to stop as late as possible, because then you can create a bigger gap, let's say, to the bunch of cars that you will likely to end up with when you come out of the pit lane.
Okay. Well, now all of a sudden, as Luca Ludwig slides his car around, we've got 18, just under 19 minutes plus a lap remaining in this race. So Giacomo Altoe and Luca Engstler, they're going to return back out onto the track, and they will put the chase on to try and get back on terms with their contemporaries in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli class. But of course, they're going to be right in the mix of our Pirelli AM drivers, who we ride on board with right now. looking back from the Marco Zanassi car at Klaus Sebranson. So we're on board with the driver that is running P3, looking back at that Klaus Sebranson car, and that's another fantastic onboard shot of the driver hard at work inside his office then of this wonderful 296 challenge car. Such an extraordinary Ferrari challenge car. And this track is so demanding. Very, very physical, very, very technical indeed. Philip Barron leading the race by 2.6 seconds over Benz Valent and Luca Ludwig, who are split by merely 3/10. But we're watching the live gap here for P3 as Klaus Sebranson taking a look at the inside, and right behind them,
Giacomo.
we can see Giacomo Altoe, who's got back behind these two. He's going to try and dispatch them really quickly, Yves.
Well, this is going to be a spicy race to the end. I'm looking forward to it.
Right, so Giacomo Altoe taking a look at the inside here. Oh, and Klaus Sebranson in a bit of strife there, kicking up a bit of dust. And of course, Giacomo just wants to dispatch these cars as quickly as possible. But of course, they're protecting their own interests in this race, aren't they? And the trouble is, Ife, you cannot just make your car disappear.
Absolutely. It's going to be hard for Giacomo to seek an opportunity without, of course, risking to damage the car or getting a penalty. And the clock is running out of time, so yeah, he has to get on with it.
Right, get on with it. Herbert Gaze then is running a P10 in class. We were with him just a few moments ago. Let's go back on board with Marco Zanassi so we can see Giacomo Altoe at the back of the next car. So Giacomo Altoe, who's done his drive-through penalty, and now he's stuck behind these two Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers, who of course are arguing over the final provisional podium place, which is P3. So they're in their own race. They've got their own important strategy and desires and objectives here. They couldn't give a stuff about Giacomo Altoe behind them. He's got to find a way by, and that's going to be really, really tricky. And of course, Luca Engsler, he's got Angelo Fontana between himself and Giacomo Altoe. So, oh, they're all over, and there is no doubt about it, in my opinion, that Klaus Sebranson is quicker, but can he find a way by? Whoa! Giacomo Altoe now tries to go around the outside of Klaus Sebranson. He'll try and get switched now and look at the inside line, but it'll be a drag race all the way to turn number one as Luca Ludwig and Benz Valent are side by side, and Luca Ludwig has got the inside line here. Respectful racing room is given to him by Benz Valent. He didn't slam the door closed. Luca Ludwig is up to P2 in Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli.
Good racing out there, fair and square.
It's fair, isn't it? And that's really, really important. These drivers are very, very respectful, and that's great to see. You can see Benz was sliding the car a little bit then. And of course, you know, these Pirelli P0 tyres work brilliantly, but the track temperature of 50 degrees, I mean, it's so hot out there.
Absolutely, you're right. Every time you slide the car, you'll know that you will pay back in the corners after, so.
Yeah. So this was Giacomo Altoe then in replay as he tried to get to the inside. Well, he did get to the inside of Klaus Sebranson, and that means now all he has is Marco Zanassi ahead of him. I say only. He's now stuck behind the Marco Zanassi car. So let's see how quickly he can dispatch Marco Zanassi, who is running, as I say, in that provisional podium place for our Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers. And Giacomo Altoe recovering from that drive-through penalty for speeding on the start, and at the start of the race, as Giacomo just took a look at the inside then, just a warning shot, if you will, on Marco Zanassi. And he carries a completely different line through that chicane, and as we pick the cars up, heading towards, there is Benz Valent. We'll see, hopefully, the battle that we were watching of Giacomo Altoe now tracking Marco Zanassi going into turn number one. Klaus Sebranson back on terms once again. Giacomo just takes a look at the inside line. Klaus Sebranson trying to come around the outside now. Wow, I didn't see that coming as Giacomo Altoe almost got to the inside of Marco Zanassi. So this Pirelli driver is right in the middle of a Pirelli Am sandwich at the moment, and it's P3 and P4 in the Pirelli Am drivers fight. For Giacomo Altoe, it's P4 in class. Giacomo, they're going to have to be careful of track limits here, Afe.
Absolutely, you are right. after 4 track limits will be reported to the stewards, and subsequently they will take penalties. So yeah, it's gonna be hard to manage. But we see Giacomo very close behind. Is he gonna make move? Yes, he's diving down to the inside.
King of the late breakers.
Well done.
Oh, and Klaus Branson is able to almost take advantage of this as he goes side by side. Wow, that was a real opportunistic move from Klaus Branson. He could see what Giacomo Altoe was going to do, and he thought, you know what, I'm going to hang on to your coattails here and take advantage of that. So poor Marco Zanazzi loses out on his P3 position to Klaus Branson, who was just able to take advantage of the move that Giacomo Altoe made. That was brilliant driving by him, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Marco Zanazzi will be livid, I would think. Absolutely livid. It was so good. Let's rerun the fun here. I mean, he was getting the advantage of a draft, surely.
Yeah. And Giacomo managed to brake him perfectly, stop the car, and make sure to get a good exit. And the car behind both of them actually saw the opportunity to take advantage of them fighting and actually gain the place. So that's very, very clever driving there.
Let's see it from a different angle here. I mean, he left it late, didn't he? That was late, but, and I want to say credit to Marco Zanazzi because he could have closed the door, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And that must have been the most frustrating to see, that the car that you really didn't want to let by goes by. Right, the number 91 car we can see of Philippe Barron is leading this race by 3.935 seconds ahead of Luca Ludwig running P2 now and Benz Valint P3. Giacomo Altoe now up to P4 in class. Now it's P6 on track, but P4 within class. And let's have a look at the telemetry here of Philippe Barron then. On the throttle, 5th gear, up to 200 kilometers per hour before braking and down into 4th gear. You can see him really attacking with the steering wheel, taking a little less curb probably at this stage of the race than he did earlier on. After saying that, he does rumble across the curves now. Philippe is a very physical driver who'll throw absolutely everything at this to maintain his position, throwing it through the chicane here. Philippe Barron then, multi Ferrari Challenge race winner in his previous career. Now very much team manager and team boss, but given the opportunity to drive this year, it was an opportunity that he could not take. And that's why he is racing once again in the Ferrari Challenge and leading this race. Klaus Branson getting sideways there now. That's just as Giacomo Altoe now takes a look at the inside of Hanno Laskowski. Racing room is left by Hanno to allow Giacomo Altoe to get now within sight of Hendrik Viol.
Yeah, despite making a move this lap, Giacomo gained 8 tenths on P3 on Valent Bent. So if he wants to get the podium place, he has to keep this pace. And of course, it will not be easy because there's still a car ahead of him.
Yes, so once he gets by Hendrik Viol, you've been watching the timing screen here, and the difference in pace. Do you really think with 10 minutes plus a lap that he could potentially challenge Benz Valint for maybe P3 towards
I think it depends on how Giacomo will be able to get around follow Hendrik.
Yeah. Well,
let's see if he gets it done before this hairpin.
And this is Klaus Branson, who's got the real hurry up now, and he's fighting with Hanno Laskowski as Giacomo Altoe dives to the inside, and he does go through, so he's dispatched him pretty quickly, hasn't he?
Well done.
But again, Klaus Branson taking advantage of everything that's going on here, because he's got by Hanno Laskowski, so now Klaus Branson is running P2 ahead of Hanno Laskowski. Well, Klaus Branson doing a very, very good job here, and now he's beginning to threaten. This is a race for the lead in the Trofeo Pirelli AM race, because Hendrik Viol, as we can see in replay here, Hanno just ran a bit wide, I think, and that opened up the opportunity. So it was 2 overtakes in 1 here. You've got Giacomo Altoe getting by Hendrik Viol and Klaus Branson getting by Hanno Laskowski. We are seeing some excellent driving here, and Hendrik Viol's current P1 position, may I say, Afi, this is under threat now.
Absolutely, we have some feisty moves coming up, and Giacomo is about 4 seconds away from P3, and he has about 10 minutes of racing to go for it. I think he has a chance to do it, but let's see how far he can go.
Well done, thank you for that. Great to have your input into how this race is unfolding. There's been so much drama in this Trofeo Pirelli race, and Hendrik Viol now is going to have to really stick his elbows out because Klaus Sebranson is absolutely determined here. Hendrik runs a bit wide. That allows Klaus Sebranson to get a bit closer. Will he go for the inside line here? I think he's got it. But of course, well, fair play to Hendrik Viol. He didn't defend that too steadfastly as he tries to come back now. They're side by side. Klaus Sebranson are down this long straight here. Their door mirrors touch. Klaus Sebranson on the inside of Hendrik Viol, and here comes Hanno Laskowski, who senses an opportunity that he can convert his P3 to P2. But the new Trofeo Pirelli AM race leader is Klaus Sebranson. And I have to say, Efe, I believe Klaus Sebranson has really been benefited from the drive-through penalty for another driver. I think it really helped him.
Absolutely. I think Klaus managed well his tires from the first part of the race, so he clearly has a pace advantage compared to those who are struggling now with the grip. And also before T6 in T5, he already had a good line, to not be affected by the draft and have a clean braking for the hairpin, and also held safe, but just enough gap to be able to make sure that they don't touch before the break, and well played by both of drivers.
I think the driving standards are exemplary in the Ferrari Challenge, and we have seen that as now Hanno Laskowski is sensing that there might be an opportunity to get by Hendrik Viol. Look how much pace, and this is exactly what you said about he's looked after his tyres, and now Klaus Sebranson is able to open up a big-ish gap.
Yeah, we also see Luca Insler, who enters the pit now, who may have a problem. Unfortunate race for him.
Yeah, very much so. He did drive through penalty earlier on, and yes, he is coming to the pit lane. Thanks for pointing that out. Whilst I was busy looking at everything else that was going on, and there's been so much going on in this race. We've got 6.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Philip Barron leading by 4.2 seconds over Ben Svalint, and the gap between Ben Svalint and Giacomo Altoe is down to 1.5 seconds now.
Just on the sector 1 alone, on this lap, Giacomo Altoe has shaved 1 second of Ben Svalint, so I think P3 is under pressure.
A podium is potentially on the cards for Giacomo Altoe. Having taken a drive-through penalty, of course, he's in such a good position in terms of the Drivers' Championship. He wants to bank as many points as he can. Car number 92 picks up a time penalty for track limits, and that's our driver that is P2. And this here is Hendrik Viol. So Hendrik Viol is got 5 seconds to be awarded at the end of the race. So effectively, that takes him out of podium place, and that's going to put him down the order to probably P5 or 6 in the race. So Hanno Laskowski hasn't got to really try too hard here. I say that, you're a racing driver, you always want to get by the car in front of you as a target. Of course it is, and you want to get by it, and well, maybe the opportunity is going to come at the conclusion of this particular lap as they head up towards turn number 1, as he's really, really close. Already, just as you predicted, Giacomo Altoe is on Ben Svalint here.
Absolutely. He's moving quickly. Oh.
Benz defends. Giacomo. Giacomo tries to find. This is for the final podium place in Trofeo Pirelli. Now, bear in mind that the car that you see currently running P3, Ben Svalint. The car behind Ben Svalint is Giacomo Altoe, who has done a drive-through penalty and has still worked his way through the order to be challenging now for P3. And I have to say, he has got the pace. There's no question about that. And it's not a question of if, it's a question of when he's going to come by. All the way around the outside, Benz makes it a bit wider, and oh, Klaus Sebranson is in there as well as a AM driver. If everything stays this way, Philip Barron will be leading the championship on 70 points if everything were to finish right now, but we've got another 4 minutes plus a lap. For Giacomo here, so he's just got to be a bit patient, AV.
Yeah, good defense so far from Ben Svalint, you know, kind of tough, but still I think within the regulation. Let's see how Giacomo can manage to try to get around him, and with 4 minutes to go. Maybe there's a chance that Ben Svalint can stay in P3.
He's going to have to really defend hard, isn't he? And Giacomo, you know, he has just, I mean, both Benz and Giacomo are both, like yourself, very, very young racing drivers and successful racing drivers, no question about that. Well, you can see here, Giacomo trying to sell Benz a little bit of a dummy going into that turn. To the outside, first of all. Let's see how they do. Klaus Branson is mixing it up here. Now, he, of course, is a Trofeo Pirelli AM driver. So under braking, Giacomo Altoe gets much, much closer. And Giacomo Altoe and Klaus Branson are both setting incredible lap times.
It's actually very interesting to see Klaus Branson just set his personal best lap time of the race, which was quicker than anyone on the previous lap, also including top 4, which are the pro category. So that really shows that he was managing his tires well, and it's all paying off for him. Maybe he can actually find a chance to go P3 overall without change of position.
There you go. Giacomo Altoe has done it and got by Benz Valiant. Unbelievably, Giacomo Altoe, having served a drive-through penalty, now finds himself in a podium place, P3. What's the gap? Just out of interest to Luca Ludwig, it's too great. It's, you know, there's only 2.5 minutes plus a lap remaining. But that's extraordinary driving from Giacomo Altoe, and great driving too from Klaus Branson. Philip Barron is leading 5 seconds to the good of Luca Ludwig, who's P2, but Giacomo Altoe, who is now in P3. Now, in Trofeo Pirelli AM, it's Klaus Branson ahead of Hendrik Viol on track and then Hanno Laskowski. But bear in mind, Hendrik Viol has got a time penalty to come at the end of the race. There has been so much going on in this race between the Trofeo Pirelli drivers and the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. Klaus Branson is absolutely flying this afternoon. And right, here's Hendrik Viol and Hanno Laskowski. Just taking a look at the Hendrik Viol car. He's going to be side by side with him now. The rotation through the turn was slightly better for Hendrik Viol because he got the wider line. Hanno Laskowski's trying to track him here into turn number 1. It's still far from all over in this race, you know. Marco Sanassi we right on board with as he looks at Hanno Laskowski and Hendrik Viol ahead of them. Well, Klaus Branson, of course, in Pirelli AM, he's so far up the road.
But he has to be careful now because he has already had 3 track limit infringement. If he has one more, he will also get a 5-second penalty, which will draw him back to the order.
Very good point. Well made. Yeah, don't want to be doing that.
So I think that right now the team has to go on radio and tell him just to chill out, you know, enjoy the last 2 laps and bring back home the victory.
Good point. Enjoy it and bring home the victory.
Ooh, that's very close on the exit of the hairpins.
Well, there has been so much to talk about in this race. Hendrik Viol then driving for the Scuderia Prague racing team. Hanno Laskowski representing Emil Frey Racing. And Emil Frey Racing, very well-known team into the Ferrari Challenge. Delighted that they are part of it. And these wonderful 296 Challenge cars then, as Hendrik Viol looks a bit ragged now. Surely Afe, he's driving on tyres which are really, really past their best.
Yeah, and he's also like kind of the cork of the bottle. He's physically blocking 2 other cars who are actually in theory ahead of him in terms of position after his penalty being served at the end of the race.
Well, we are on the final lap, so Hendrik Viol has just got to defend for 1 more lap, but do bear in mind, he's got a time penalty to come. So Philip Barron, Luca Ludwig, Giacomo Altoe as Marco Sanassi looks at the inside of Hanno Laskowski going into turn number 1. But again, Hanno Laskowski is able to carry a little bit more speed on the entry into turn number 1 by dint of where he positioned the car. But that, of course, has allowed Hendrik Viol just for a moment to rub his hands with invisible soap. It's given him a bit of a breather, if truth be told. So Barron, Ludwig, Altoe. Bear in mind, Giacomo Altoe had a drive-through penalty, and still he's been able to gradually pick off every driver and get back into a provisional podium place as Hanno Laskowski tries to make that gap. 296 Challenge wide on Hendrik Viol. Flat out, full chat flat down that straight. Downhill into the turn as well, as Hanno once again he is on the curbs and he's on the grass, and there is a turn between the 2 of them. That is such a shame. because they had driven so close together, and, well, inevitably, I suppose, Efe, that can happen.
Yeah, that's part of racing, and yeah, that's a shame because they were actually racing with a car which is, in theory, not fighting for position, but yeah, let's see what the Silvers have to say for that.
Thank you. Philippe Baron is a race winner, and he takes a victory in Trofeo Pirelli ahead of Luca Ludwig, that will be P2, and then it will be Giacomo Altoe that will take P3 in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. And in Trofeo Pirelli Am, everything is switched around right now, but it has been an extraordinary race as Klaus Sebranson crosses the line to take P1 in Trofeo Pirelli Am with Hanno Laskowski. Well, he was going to be P2, but Marco Zanassi takes P2. Hanno Laskowski takes P3. And in replay, from on board with Marco Zanassi, I mean, in fairness, that was a tight call, wasn't it, Efe?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's...
I mean, there was a gap there, but...
Yeah, if I were in the wheel of the car 85, I would have probably taken a bit less risk because I would know that you know, the car ahead was not for position, but at the end you want to also get the position on track because then you also feel like you earn it more. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Listen, I know you've got to go off and do podium presentation duties as well now, so I'm going to release you and say thank you so much for being with us on the air. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And just one last thing I wanted to point out is that even though at the end Giacomo Altoe was like 1 second faster than anyone else, including the top two, he still, let's say, didn't have enough time to, you know, get the, let's say, top 2 position back. And that also goes to show that, you know, the Pro-Am drivers are also extremely quick, that are able to, you know, defend off a pro driver. So that's also very great to see from my point of view.
And that just reinforces just how great the Ferrari Challenge is, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Anyway, thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you. Thanks so much for being with us. We're really, really grateful. Efe, we'll see him on the podium in a minute, presenting those trophies. Escape that champagne. Thanks, friend. All the best to you. He is a top driver, and he's been with us on the air. What a blooming race that was, I can tell you. So, confirmation then that it's Philippe Baron, Luca Ludwig and Giacomo Altoe. Now, car number 85 is picking up a time penalty, unsurprisingly, for that move on Hendrik Viol, which means that the top 3 in Trofeo Pirelli Am become Klaus Sebranson, Marco Zanassi and Angelo Fontana. Philippe Baron is once again a race winner. Wow. So 2 drivers getting drive-through penalties. And Philippe Baron wins here in Jerez.
Yes! Finally lucky, huh? Finally lucky!
Well done, Philip. My goodness me. That was a race and a half. And the extraordinary driving from this man, Klaus Sebranson. Now, there is no doubt about it, and he would be the first to admit it, I suspect, that he followed in the wheel tracks of Giacomo Altoe. As Giacomo Altoe returned from his drive-through penalty, Klaus Sebranson almost welded the front of his car to the back of Giacomo Altoe, and undoubtedly that helped him, but brilliant driving nonetheless. Brilliant driving. Bravo, bravo, and bravo for Angelo Fontana then, who takes P3. There, lots of congratulations all round, which is really good to see. So Marco Zanassi, we look at there, and we're going to be hearing from Philippe Baron in just a couple of moments.
Philippe, congratulations, a very tough race today, but you manage the tires and all the work with your team in the best way. You stay away from the race, so it's arrived your first win here in Jerez.
Yes, it was all playing into my cards today, I have to say. I had a very good car from my team. I had a good pace. I had the tactic with the tire pressure that we are coming on the end and will attack in the last 10-15 minutes. But there was nobody to attack anymore because the other two had a drive through, even though I was closing up to Luca and I was already preparing for the battle. Unfortunately, he had to go to do the drive through. So I got, let's say, an easier victory than I was imagining, but I had a very good pace, I had a very stable car, and I had a lot of fun in the car today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, bye.
Philip, he always enjoys winning. Of course, he's going to have a lot of fun. Well done, Philip Baron. What a victory indeed, and of course advantaged by virtue of the fact that Giacomo Altoe and Luca Engstler had to take drive-through penalties. Up next we're going to be hearing from Klaus Branson. I have to say that is the most impressive drive I've seen from the Formula Racing driver.
Klaus, congratulations today for you. It's a very important result, even for the championship standing. So I want to ask you if you can tell us more about your feeling to be here and the work that did you with your team.
So of course, since yesterday it has been a little bit disappointing. I've been unlucky in a couple of situations, so this is just a major win for me, and to still compete in the championship I need to continue pushing on that one, and today I showed I have the pace, so I'm happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Klaus, not only do you have the pace, but you have a very clever mindset as well. Well done to you. Enjoy the highlights. See there, Klaus Branson being hugged by his driver coach Daniele Diamato. So confirmation of the classification then, Philip Baron taking the win from Luca Ludwig and Giacomo Altoe. Bear in mind, Giacomo had a drive-through penalty and still finished P3. Then it was Ben Svalint ahead of Klaus Branson, Marco Zanassi, Angelo Fontana, Hanno Laskowski, Andreas Berg Sorensen, Herbert Geis. And then it was Andrew Morrow, James Owen, Hendrik Viol after his time penalty, Gianmarco Marzioletti, David Akabadze, Otto Blank, Laura Villas, Danilo Del Favaro, Armin Arifpour, and of course Luca Engstler regrettably had to go into the pits not long after it served his drive-through penalty, which was a great shame because he was going to mix it along with Giacomo Altoe in trying to wrestle his way back up the order. We'll be going to the podium next. Michele Mambelli will bring the drivers out onto the podium. What a drive from this young man, Giacomo Altoe, then P3. Richly deserved for the Motel Motorsport driver, Luca Ludwig. He goes to the second step of the podium. And he knows where this step is. Philip Baron has run some races in his career, but this will feel especially sweet for him.
Il nostro applauso, our claps for the winners. On the podium, GOM Motorsport Baron Racing.
So Philip Barron on the top step of the podium. And Ines Rule then from Barron Motorsport, representing the team on the podium, and delighted to welcome Mr. Antonello Coletta then, Global Head of Ferrari Endurance and Corsa Clienti, and may I just say, architect of yet another fine success at the 24-hour of Le Mans. He's the man that's in charge of it, and he makes the trophy presentations to Giacomo Altoe, to Luca Ludwig, and then to Philip Barron on the top step of the podium.
And team trophy for GOM Motorsport Baron Racing team.
Ines Rule then receives the Copa Teams trophy, and Lucio Vagani, who is Pirelli Motorsport manager, making the Trofeo Pirelli presentation to Philip Barron.
Together the driver with Lucio and team manager, all on the first step of this podium. And all drivers and teams rise, lift your trophy, okay, smile.
So there they are then with great smiles.
Driver, wait a second, the team manager out of the podium, and now champagne!
Philip Barron on the medal with the champagne. Giacomo Altoe then for Emil Frey Racing takes P3. Taking P2 for Motel Motorsport, Luca Ludwig. And taking P1, back on the top step of the podium, Go Motorsport, Barron Racing, and Philip Barron, the driver. Here come the Drivers' Championship standings then. Philip Barron now leading the Trofeo Pirelli Drivers' Championship by 1 point ahead of Ben Svalint and 4 points ahead of Giacomo Altoe. Second half of this Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli season for 2024 is going to be very interesting indeed. Up next then, it will be the Pirelli AM podium. Michele is bringing the drivers out right now. Taking P3, well done to Angelo Fontana.
Second driver on
his
the podium,
first podium of the season.
Zanassi.
Marco Zanassi, he takes P2.
And the winner is Klaus Zibransen.
And on the top step of the podium, the driver of the number 89 car, Klaus Zibransen, who was last on the top step of the podium, the opening race in Mugello.
L'applauso con sul podio anche il team manager Formula Racing near the podium, and the trophy are presented by Antonello Coletta,
of
Global
course,
Head
on the podium.
And Corsa Clienti, Ferrari.
Antonello Coletta once again then, the Global Head of Endurance and Corsa Clienti, making the trophy presentation. First of all to Angelo Fontana, then to Marco Zanassi. Next up, of course, it is going to be our race winner, Klaus Zibransen.
The winner, Klaus Zibransen.
And of course, Formula Racing will be in receipt of the Copa Teams trophy. Well done to Formula Racing, and Lucio Vagani here with the Pirelli Award, which will also go to Klaus Zibransen. Congratulations all round, and poses for the photographs.
On the podium, came back.
Here comes Antonello Coletta to also be part of this awesome photograph
all on the first step of this podium for this
the Trofeo Pirelli AM podium here in Jerez.
Second race for Pirelli AM class. Photos.
Top 3 then in Trofeo Pirelli Am. Angelo Fontana with a brilliant podium P3. P2 for the CDP Panetti Motorsport driver Marco Zanassi. And P1 for the Formula Racing driver Klaus Zibranson. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, Hendrik Viol still leading. However, Marco Zanassi on the same number of points. It's going to be very interesting second half of the season for the Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers as well. So, hope you enjoyed that Trofeo Pirelli race as much as we did. The next Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli action will be in Portimao in Portugal. But don't forget, we have another race to come live from Jerez, and that is for our Copa Shell Am drivers. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.